So I did want to say two things before we actually get started.
Okay.
One is I wanted to say that I hope that Ron Paul is okay and that
Mm.
he gets better. I don't know if you guys saw
Yeah,
that
yes.
on air he had what appeared to be like a stroke, but then I think now they're saying it was a heart attack or something.
Oh,
But I mean, it clearly looked like he was having a stroke. So well wishes to him. And the other thing that we haven't really touched upon is the Julian Assange trial or hearing that's
Hearing.
going on right now. And I personally, I don't want to speak for the show, but I personally want to say that I am very ashamed of what my government is doing to this man who is apparently a very, very principled man who is being tortured right now because of those principles, because he won't give up his source. And I just want to thank him, even though he won't hear this or anything like that. But I mean, the service that he has done to the world can't even be estimated. So I
Right.
just wanted to say that.
I will second that.
and the degree of disservice that media is doing by not covering it is horrific. It's just horrific.
I mean, what's happened to journalism? This guy is a real journalist, right? Who actually investigates things and reveals the truth. He didn't like slander anybody. He didn't reveal any state secrets or anything.
Right.
Nothing he's released has been proven false. He is just doing what a journalist does, and journalists have done for decades, if not longer. And he's getting the full brunt of that now because he went up against the powers that be, the powers that are threatened by this. But obviously, more power to him, and he needs to get more attention because it's not getting covered obviously not getting covered in the mainstream media.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So sorry, I just wanted to,
Yeah.
I felt like it's owed,
And even those that you would think would cover, right? Like, that whole Anna Kasparian thing where a viewer called in and said, "Are you guys going to cover Assange?" And he said, "Oh yeah, we'll probably get to that." And meanwhile, she's 100%. They're 100% on everything else. Just voter shaming for Biden, basically. So.
Right.
Yeah, it's horrific. Even people that you think are progressives are dropping the ball on this.
And then also, you just mentioned Ron Paul, Daisy, and he was interesting because, in my political evolution, I started out as a well, my family was basically Republican. I guess moderate Republican growing up, and I never really, I had this fascination with the Soviet Union when I grew up, which I think I've talked about before, but. Then
maybe a time or two.
Well, I was probably the only 12-year-old in my neighborhood with a subscription to Soviet Life. And to the credit of my parents, they actually got me the subscription to Soviet Life for like a birthday or Christmas present. And I'm sure we were put on the watch list because of that, even though my father was a paying member of the Heritage Foundation.
Oh, jeez.
It was interesting. We had interesting political conversations at our house, to say the least. But anyways, Ron Paul did run, for president in 2012, I believe, and he was portrayed as a arch conservative, from Texas, and he is very conservative on some issues. But the thing which distinguished him was that he was an anti-war candidate. He said we shouldn't be involved in these foreign entanglements that the founding fathers warned about, and that not only are they expensive and costing us in blood and treasure, as the phrase goes, but also that they're immoral wars. We're not improving our image abroad. We're not getting anywhere out of this. It's just benefiting arms manufacturers and certain certain vested interests, but not the American people as a whole. And I thought that really resonated with me when he said that. And I said, this, despite the things that I disagree with him on, I would support him just for that. So actually, I supported his campaign in 2012, even though I knew he didn't have a snowball's chance in hell of actually winning. But if you recall, during the debates in 2012, he was voted the popular winner of the Republican debates because all the Republicans were saying, except for Ron Paul, we're basically repeating the neocon line, of the traditional Republican platform, and Ron Paul distinguished himself, saying that basically he went against the grain and said we have to stop the war machine, and this is something that resonated with everyone, but especially with conservatives, which to me was very significant, because it shows that there is a common ground that we can build between conservatives who want to get back to our values and the left, and that's one major issue where we can come together is the war machine. So I thought it really, he was the first person, I guess, on the right that I thought really had that got my attention as having something to say.
I do have to add really quick, and it's the same story with Tulsi, obviously, in 2020. A lot of people thought she doesn't have a snowball's chance in hell, given the suppression by the media and Hillary, but and the DNC. But if she talks on stage about anti-war movement, I was completely behind her, just because of that. It was worth it. Raising people's awareness that we don't have to be doing this to enrich arms manufacturers.
And the way Tulsi is portrayed, this goes back, the way Tulsi is portrayed by different factions. She's either portrayed as being basically a Republican, which is like some of my Democratic Party friends were saying, basically she's Republican, why are you supporting her? But some of her positions are way to the left of the mainstream Democratic Party. And then some of the Republicans are saying, well, she's too radical. She's calling for Medicare for all. She's calling for all these things. So she didn't really fit easily, no. Or she doesn't fit now easily into a box, into a category of she's this or that. She really reached across the aisle and appealed to both to a much wider swath of people, and I thought that was something in the Ron Paul tradition. She was able to do that. So I think she definitely, Ron Paul did blaze the trail to some degree for Tulsi.
Absolutely.